All right, folks, welcome back to the meat segment. And as promised, another great special guest coming from Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling this week. I have on hand with me the geek from the street, Hazard. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, not bad. Thank you for having me on this morning. What a treat.
No problem, no problem. Here in October, we've been specializing in Halloween Havoc and stuff like that. But I've also been touching base with some of your co-partners there, Rocky Mountain Pro. So it's a pleasure to have you on. We're going to run you through the breakfast ringer here today and just let my listeners out there know a little bit about yourself and maybe some fun things as well. So get things started, Hazard, on this wonderful Friday. Tell my listeners out there about how long you've been wrestling.
Let's see here. I believe it's been just about a little over 5 years now. Believe it was Milestone 5 that I first heard about Rocky Mountain Pro. Back then, New Revolution Wrestling, NRW, and just kind of jumped head first, feet first, whole self first right into the whole thing.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So basically, it was just all for nothing. Now, were you a wrestling fan as a kid growing up, or just something you kind of caught on to? You was definitely a fan. Okay.
Yeah. So my first taste in wrestling was at the end of a pay-per-view. It was when Stone Cold was cutting the promo on Jake the Snake, and he did his 316 promo. I was like, what is this? This is very interesting. And then started watching a little bit more. Started watching Shawn Michaels, Triple H. Just really started getting into the whole Attitude Era. I didn't even know of WCW's existence, but it fueled a lot of the fire back then, and that was some great TV.
Absolutely. That's what here on the E's and B's podcast, we touch base on a lot of the older stuff. Myself, I was more of a WCW fan, but obviously both a huge fan in general. But that's pretty cool. A lot of people obviously touch on that era because it was hard not to enjoy it. For you listeners out there that aren't able to see the video here, Hazard is obviously a masked wrestler. Where did you get that gimmick or an idea from it? And touch on just what you want to say. Obviously, we can't give all the secrets out here.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of my fighting style and influences come from cinema and video games and the like. So some of my favorite masked people were Scorpion, Bane, and Cyrax. And so kind of paid a little bit of homage to them and crafted the face that you see today.
Awesome. Now, for some of you new listeners out there that don't know much about Rocky Pro Wrestling, I know that you're a fan favorite. And where's that come from? Is that just from your talent, or is there a little bit of secret that we don't know or that my listeners might need to be filled in on?
Well, I do have a growing amount of dark webisms that follow me, and I may not always get the most screen time, but when I do, I try to make the most of it. And I usually like to take on the biggest, baddest opponents to try testing my mettle, and don't always come on top, but I definitely will look good doing it.
Definitely. I enjoy myself watching you put yourself to that challenge. A lot of wrestlers out there that aren't in the bigger size think that they got to just keep it in the same realm as their weight class. And I enjoy people like you that kind of step out and, test yourself and test your strength, like you said. Hey, let's step out of the wrestling world for just a minute here, and let's step into what we call a scrambled egg for you.
Yum.
How about you tell my listeners out there, what is your favorite breakfast item?
My favorite breakfast item, which is something I believe I recently did on my cooking show that I do sporadically on Sundays, the H4Z4RD. I did a dish that I saw Gordon Ramsay prepare, where you get it's all in one pan dish. You throw some shredded potatoes on there, fry those up, get a good base layer, and then you almost kind of make like a breakfast pizza out of this thing. You crack your eggs on top of it, put a little bit of candied bacon sprinkled on top, and throw that in the oven, and comes out oh so delicious. And you almost got like it's pizza but breakfast, which I
Wow.
mean is also breakfast, but more breakfasty.
Man, that's got me licking my chops as we speak. That's definitely the most or the best breakfast item so far on the show that we've heard from anybody. Normally, it's just the old bacon and eggs or biscuits and gravy. That sounds delicious. Maybe someday you'll have to make that for me there, Hazard.
I do have a really good sausage gravy recipe that is very delicious.
Okay, awesome. So as you know, Hazard, the month of October for me is we're touching base on Halloween Havoc. I'm not sure how much knowledge you got on that, but for my listeners out there, if you do have any knowledge on that, could you tell them what was your favorite Halloween Havoc?
I unfortunately haven't went back in the archives to look at some of the Halloween Havocs. That is something I was planning on doing Halloween week with a couple of the crew. So
Awesome.
I unfortunately have not seen some of the. I heard some of it was a bit of a train wreck, but
Man, there's some bad ones out there, let me tell you. Started in 89 and ran all the way through 2000, but yeah, definitely go check that out. And hey, just a little ad bit for you there. The last week here, the last Friday of the month, me and my friend from Indiana will be doing a watch along on my podcast of one of the Halloween Havocs. You can vote on that on the Patreon page as well as easeandbees.com. So hey, if you haven't watched all of them, maybe you can catch just a little bit on the show with us.
absolutely, that sounds great. We'll
Uh,
definitely mark that on my calendar. What day did you say that was?
that will be the last Friday of the month, which is the
Last
30th.
Friday.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Marking my
The
calendar.
day before Halloween. The whole kind of reason why we're doing a little bit of touching on that. So that's okay. Hey, it's something to go back, like you said, in the archives and check out. I'm still now going back through and just taking notes and just catching some stuff that I missed. I talked to the champion Dustin Urich a while back, and I was explaining to him that one of my favorite matches was Dustin Rhodes versus stunning Steve Austin, which we know is Stone Cold, and it went the time limit, and it was really cool. Just this morning I was watching 1993, and they're fighting again. They fought like 3 years, and like 3 out of 5 years they fought each other. It's pretty cool, and them two, like, I don't know, they just brought the best out of everybody. So anyways, to hop back into what we got here is the geek on the street, Hazard from Rocky Mountain Pro. Hey, what's your favorite match all time there at Rocky Mountain that you've been involved in?
That I was specifically involved in. You
Yeah. Something that maybe you didn't come out on the right side of the outcome or whatever, but just something that's kind of stuck in your mind as a memory. And when you hang up the boots, you can go back and be like, man, that was one cool moment.
The first thing that comes to my mind was one I unfortunately don't have any footage of. Our cameras were down that night, but those in attendance definitely got some good memories. It was me versus Filter. Such a large individual he is. Definitely a big challenge. It was at the Bierstadt Lager House, and I think we were semi-main. A couple of people weren't able to show up, so we switched the card around, and I challenged Filter, and I don't really remember much of that night after I got into that ring. I do remember a couple of really great moments where I was in the air, and after about 2 seconds, I was like, shouldn't I have hit the ground by now? He threw me so hard, bealed me from one end of the ring to the other, that I literally landed my legs up to my knees, like upside down on the second rope. And for those in attendance, I heard it was a good night. I honestly don't much remember
You don't
it.
remember much of that, huh? I could understand why. Those are kind of cool moments. It kind of stinks that, like you said, the filming crew wasn't there to kind of catch it, to keep it, forever. But obviously, it sticks out.
The fans are the ones who are important. They need the memories.
That's right. That's right. That's what we're all about here on easybees.com and the Ease and Bees podcast is the fans. We can do all kinds of giveaways and cool stuff. As we're writing some things down here, what or who Hazard is your favorite wrestler of all time then? Not including yourself. Let's just say somebody maybe you grew up loving.
I would definitely have to put the title for that on Triple H.
Okay.
He really understood the business very, very early on, and just even watching, you can't just have the same stagnant character. You have to evolve, change, adapt over time. And coming from the blue blood aristocrat Hunter Hearst Helmsley and evolving into the powerhouse player Triple H was something I was really able to see almost from start to finish, from his involvement to DX to splitting off and doing great single feuds with the likes of Chris Jericho, The Rock. So many great feuds that I just wanted to see much more of it. And then his entire career is extended out even to the modern era. And even though he's getting up there in the age, he still goes out there, puts everything into it. Even doesn't let injuries stop him from continuing on the match. He blew out his quads and continued the match, even suffered through walls of Jericho without any without like any stoppage to the match whatsoever. Tore his bicep or tricep recently and still continued on the match. It's just amazing how dedicated he is to the art.
Yeah, I totally agree. As you're saying that, I kind of almost think in retro that a little bit of this NXT, I think maybe he's living kind of the stuff that he kind of wishes he still could do or didn't do maybe through some of these characters that are on that show. I definitely could see some characters like the Kyle O'Reilly kind of guy. Just they gimmick him a little bit, and I think that maybe that's some of it. Like you say, he's still passing on his greatness. He's definitely going to go down in history as one of the best. Not just because he obviously was married into the family or nothing like that. He was great before all that stuff started, and that's pretty cool. Definitely somebody different on the E's and B's here that we haven't heard as a favorite wrestler, man. So, hey, another scrambled egg question for you. I'm not sure if you do it or not. What's your favorite scary movie of all time?
I am not the biggest connoisseur of the scary, but one that really stuck out to me that saw in theaters on its debut night and really kind of twisted my mind in how storytelling could actually be done, and that was actually the first Saw. I at one point don't really want to admit this, but I did have to get up and throw up at one point.
Oh wow! That definitely was I can agree with you. We're probably roughly close to the same age. That was different. I grew up obviously on all of the Jasons and Halloweens and stuff, but I don't. Yeah, they took it to the next level. You're right. That's something I wasn't thinking of. So great pick there. Great pick. All right, we're talking with the geek from the street, Hazard here. As we wind things down, Hazard, you got anything you want to ask old Eddie B here?
Well, I've heard about my favorite wrestler. I'm really curious to know what yours is. What really inspired you and tickled your fancy?
I got you. And for me, being such a wrestling fan that I am, it's hard for me to pick one. But I'll give you the true original, and then I've got a current to date right now as well.
Sure.
My all-time favorite is Macho Man. Growing up, I saw him at WrestleMania 8 in Indianapolis. Just him and Elizabeth, something about that as a little kid, I just was like, wow, he's that cool to have that hot chick with him as his manager. But not only that, his promos were on point. Not even knowing what a promo was as a kid, I just always was intrigued as soon as he came on the screen, no matter if his words made any sense or not.
Which
but
they
he also,
didn't.
right. And he performed. He sold. He did it all, in my opinion. So that was growing up. I just loved him, and I'll be the first to admit that I think that he got shortchanged there at the end of his career. Putting him on the broadcast table. I understand they were trying to get a little bit more viewers, a little bit and per se, but I think he was shortchanged, and when he went to WCW, I think he was already a little bit crushed, and he was out to prove himself a little bit more. And I wish it would have ended all in one place instead of kind of resentment at the other place. But
Definitely not the way you wanted to see your legend go out.
True, exactly. So that's my all-time favorite. But my current, and he could possibly in the future pass him up, but it's Chris Jericho. And I'm not a mark or nothing for say for all his gimmicks and all that stuff. But let's be honest, he's 30 years in, and if you go back and look at some of his stuff, just not per se for the gimmick side of it, but his wrestling side. Like in Smoky Mountain days when he had a broken arm, wasn't even supposed to be wrestling, and him and Lance Storm, went ahead and fought the match. I mean, just crazy things like that. I admire him because I think he's passing on the knowledge to the youngsters out there as much as he can. And like we do here on E's and B's, I love to promote people like you guys and you, Hazard, at Rocky Mountain that get overlooked because, that you got to start somewhere, and people don't realize that the small independent indie scene is where it comes from. Most of your great talent comes out of there, and that's why I like to promote people like you and everybody else on my show, and I will continue to do that. So that's what this show is all about. It's not about the money or nothing like that. It's about, let's talk a little bit about our love of wrestling, maybe throw in some silliness about some breakfast or whatever you want, and that's what this thing's all about, man. So I do appreciate you coming on. Before I do get off here with you, Hazard, is there any way or anywhere out there for the listeners and your fans that are going to be your new fans, we should say, can reach you or get at you or follow you at?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at King Hazard, and then the rest of my social medias is Hazard RMP. That's spelled with 4s instead of A's because lead speak and all that. But you can also find me on Facebook at Hazard RMP as well.
Awesome. And I'll have those links attached to my page at easeandpeas.com as well. Hazard, man, it's been a short time, but it's been great. I can't wait to get to know you a little bit more. You're always welcome back on my show. Coming up in the future, we are going to do some co-hosting with some people. I've got some things coming up in November that are going to be great. This month's wrapped up with all Halloween Havoc stuff. But, it was an honor and pleasure to have my very first masked guest wrestler on the E's and B's podcast. Man, thanks for coming, dude.
Thank you. It was definitely wonderful. I would love to come back on again.
No problem, brother. Appreciate it.
This is the Geek from the Street, Hazard from Rocky Mountain Pro, and you are listening to the E's and B's podcast, the bacon and eggs of pro wrestling.